Hi, and welcome back to The Radical Heart. I'm your host, April Porter, and today I want to talk about holding space. So, when we talk about holding space in the coaching industry, I think a lot of coaches think of holding space as setting a container of time and letting a client talk through whatever it is that their issue is that they're bringing into the session, and then giving them an action step plan to move toward their ultimate goal by the next session, and when they come into that next session, expecting them to have moved forward. Yes, that is what the definition of coaching is, right? To unpack something and then move them forward into a new forward momentum towards whatever their goal is. But let me just say, holding space is so much deeper for me because the work that I do is identity based, and it's deep. I'm not going to lie. It's deep work. And when you do that type of deep work, it is about being able to hold somebody in the space where they're in the fire. And by that, I mean sitting with them in the hard stuff and not rushing them toward the next step. Yes, we want them to take the next step. But if we bypass where they are and we don't acknowledge whatever feelings or blocks are there and we just bypass that to move into the next thing, that's not holding space. Holding space is not just setting a container of time and then letting the client move on, right? It's about being in the hard stuff. It's about sitting in silence while somebody finds their words for the thing that they have never articulated before. It's about hearing someone's fear and not having to find a rushed solution to fix it. It's about hearing someone express their anger for something and not telling them to tone it down. It's about letting them lead with their story and not letting your story or your need to move the container forward take over. Now, I'm not saying move into therapy territory here. It's very different. But it is still being with the client in that space. And I think so many people are uncomfortable with that. And it's understandable. But the people I know who are able to hold that space in the best way are the people who have been through real shit in their lives. I've been through a lot of shit. And I can recognize that in someone else. And I can recognize the things that they are not saying with their breath, with their tone, with their body language, with the tone of their voice, the way that they speak tells me when they're holding back and they are not sure that the person on the other end can hold it. And we do this all the time, right? Think about when you meet somebody new and what's the first thing somebody says? Hi, how are you? And what do we say? Oh, I'm fine. I'm great. I'm okay. But how many times are you not fine or great or okay? But we don't trust that we can be honest with the other person because we don't know if they can hold it. We don't know if it's going to be acceptable for them to hear what's really going on with us. We don't want to center the story around ourselves, or we don't want to burden somebody with our concerns. And sure, there are times where it's a passing remark. You're at the grocery store and you're saying, hi, how are you? Great day, whatever. How's the weather? Very inconsequential things, right? But in a coaching container, and even a friendship, I would argue, if you can't have a conversation where you can be real, then what the fuck are we even doing? I mean, really, what are we doing if we're living on the surface all the time? And I speak that as somebody who has a 8th house Leo stellium. I've got 4 planets in Leo in my 8th house, and there's a lot of depth there. And I don't know how to do surface for an extended period of time. I don't. I want to get deep. I want to go there quick, and I want to get weird, and I want to talk about all the things that nobody wants to talk about, because there has to be a space for those things to live. But when we talk about holding space, we think it's just this little moment of where we're going to listen to somebody. And that's the other thing. How often do we actually listen to people? Not listen to respond, not listen to share your own perspective, but to actually listen to them and hear what they're saying without needing to fix it, without needing to rush it, without needing to avoid it, and just really hearing them. We look at our world and we have this quick-paced, short attention span, right? Is it even 3 seconds anymore? Like, it is so short. We're just used to moving to the next thing. We don't stop and feel our feelings. We don't stop and sit with our thoughts. We just rush into the next thing. So holding space for somebody is that sacred space for me of really focusing on the other person and allowing them their process. And when I first do this for people who haven't had this done before, it is so foreign to them, they don't know how to do it. They rush through or they bypass things. And a lot of times I have to say, well, wait a minute. Can we explore that just a little bit deeper or farther? Are you willing to look at this? Do you want to unpack this? Do you want to share more about this experience? Because how do we move forward in a new way if we don't look at the stuff that we're doing, how we're being, what we're feeling, what we're afraid of, and we just try and patch it and move on? It doesn't work. Not long term. Not for any real sustainable change. And we see this in business all the time, right? We can get on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or anywhere, and we can see 5 steps to XYZ, or follow this $27 template and you'll have $1 million business in 3 months. Maybe, but probably not very likely, right? Who we are being determines what we create. And I talk about this in my manifestation report that's based on your unique human design, right? So when we are in coherence with who we are and what we feel, and we're honest about it, then we begin manifesting what we truly are in alignment with and what we're ready for. But when we aren't in coherence, we just manifest more lessons. And that's not wrong, right? There's no good or bad here. It's not wrong, it just is. So we can put up 100 different affirmations and we can say all the mantras in the world, but if we're not doing the work to align our inner being with what we truly say we want, and we're honest about where we are, those things are all just frivolous. They can be great reminders when we are in coherence. We are working to be in coherence. They are great reminders to keep us in coherence, right? But they are not the only thing. Like, we have to have more than just the affirmations and the mantras to manifest what we are after in life. So holding space is where I started this conversation. And holding space is a huge part of learning to be in coherence. How do we understand what we feel if we don't ever have the space and time to unwind some of our patterns and what we're doing to see how what we're doing affects what we are receiving? All right, I'm going to wrap this up here. I feel like holding space is sacred to me, and I think that there's not many people in my life, out of all the coaches that I know, who do it really, really well. But there are some that are fantastic at it. And you will know when you find that person, when they can sit with you and be with you and not rush you toward the next thing, not bypass where you are because they're uncomfortable with what you're sharing, your fear, your excitement, your dread, your frustration, your shame, your disappointment, whatever that is. If they're rushing you toward the next thing to make it pretty, make it better, make it faster, make it bigger, make it more, they're not really holding space for you. So I would ask you, when was the last time somebody truly held space for you? And when was the last time you held space for somebody else? Whether you're a coach or not, it doesn't matter. When was the last time you truly listened to the person in front of you? All right. That's all I have for now. I'll see you in the next episode.